One aircraft, no windows, hardened against nuclear blast. And this week it was airborne. I'm Kane Shimatsuka, and what I'm about to tell you isn't speculation anymore. It's pattern recognition. The kind intelligence agencies spend billions trying to hide. The kind that tells you where this war is actually heading before the official briefings catch up. 3 events converged in a 72-hour window that should terrify anyone paying attention. Iran claims it struck Israel's largest refinery. Oil crossed thresholds we haven't seen since the 2008 collapse, and the United States activated its Doomsday plane, not for a drill, not for training, during active combat operations in the Persian Gulf. Let me walk you through what happened, and more importantly, what it means when the systems designed to survive nuclear war start going operational. The E4B Nightwatch. 4 exist globally. Their purpose is singular and apocalyptic. If Washington is destroyed, if the command structure is decapitated, if ground-based government ceases to exist, this aircraft allows whoever survives to continue commanding America's nuclear arsenal from 30,000 feet. It's hardened against electromagnetic pulse. It can stay airborne indefinitely with mid-air refueling. It has direct communication lines to every ICBM silo, every nuclear submarine, every bomber squadron capable of delivering strategic weapons. The communication suite inside can punch through nuclear fallout, ionospheric disruption, and coordinated jamming that would blind every ground station simultaneously. 18 distinct secure channels, satellite uplinks that don't rely on civilian infrastructure. This is the aircraft that launches when continuity of government protocols activate. When this plane flies, it's not symbolic, it's procedural. And procedures exist for reasons nobody wants to discuss publicly. Flight tracking data confirmed the E4B Airborne from a U.S. installation the same week Iranian missiles reportedly hit Haifa Bay refinery complex. The same week, American and Israeli warplanes struck Iranian oil depots across Tehran and Alborz provinces. The same week, crude oil blew past $120 per barrel and kept climbing. Coincidence? I've studied military doctrine long enough to know coincidences don't exist at this operational level. Everything is signal, and this signal is screaming. Here's what we know with certainty. Coalition forces struck Iranian energy infrastructure deliberately. Not military targets this time, not missile factories or air defense systems, oil storage facilities, refineries, fuel distribution networks. The New York Times confirmed fires across multiple sites. The Iranian National Oil Refining and Distribution Company acknowledged damage publicly. This was escalation with intent. For 11 days, strikes focused on Iran's military capacity. Suddenly, the target shifted to Iran's economic lifeline. That shift tells you the air campaign isn't working the way planners expected. When you start attacking revenue streams instead of weapon systems, you're admitting the weapon systems aren't collapsing fast enough. Iran's response came within hours. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps claimed it used K-bar Shekan ballistic missiles against Haifa's refinery complex operated by Bazan Group, Israel's single most critical oil processing facility. Air raid sirens confirmed across the city. Video circulated showing fires and explosions in the industrial zone, and then silence. No Israeli confirmation of damage, no independent damage assessment, no press access, media restrictions invoked under wartime regulations. Israel's government can prevent reporting on strategic infrastructure damage without authorization, which means we have Iran's claims, unverified footage, and official silence. That silence could mean catastrophic damage being concealed, or it could mean standard operational security. Either way, the oil market didn't wait for clarity. Traders don't price truth, they price risk. The moment reports emerged that Haifa was targeted, not confirmed hit, just targeted, crude surged. Because markets understand what most people don't. This isn't about one refinery, it's about the pattern forming across the entire Gulf energy corridor. Qatar's LNG exports disrupted. Bahrain's Bapco refinery offline after drone strikes. Commercial shipping through Hormuz slowing, not because the strait is physically blocked, but because war risk insurance premiums have made certain routes economically unviable. Kuwait cutting oil production as precaution. The U.S. State Department ordered non-emergency personnel out of Saudi Arabia, not Iraq, not Bahrain, Saudi Arabia. The country that produces more oil than almost anyone on earth just became too dangerous for American government staff. Every dollar oil climbs triggers cascading effects most analysts won't connect for you. Transportation costs for container shipping rise immediately. Airlines recalculate route profitability. Fertilizer production, which depends on natural gas feedstock from the Gulf, contracts. Food prices respond within weeks, not months. European nations that replaced Russian pipeline gas with Qatari LNG after 2022 now face potential shortages simultaneously with the oil disruption. This isn't a regional energy crisis anymore. This is systemic stress on the global commodity infrastructure that underlies everything from plastics manufacturing to agricultural yields. and it's accelerating faster than supply chains can adapt. Qatar's energy minister warned publicly oil could hit $150 per barrel if fighting continues. The last time oil reached that level was July 2008, right before the global financial system imploded. We're not there yet, but the trajectory is clear. And trajectories in warfare accelerate faster than anyone anticipates. Now about that Doomsday plane. The Air Force will tell you E4B operations are routine, training missions happen regularly. True, but context matters more than schedules. This aircraft was airborne while the president consulted military advisors about next steps, while multiple outlets reported the administration weighing options that go far beyond the current air campaign. Special operations deployments inside Iran, targeting nuclear enrichment sites directly. These reports remain unconfirmed through official channels, but the fact they're circulating through leaks tells you where decision-making is heading. The Doomsday plane isn't a weapon, it's insurance. And when governments start activating insurance policies visibly, that tells you how they're assessing risk levels even when public statements say otherwise. Let's examine what Iran is actually executing here, because individual strikes obscure the larger doctrine. Before this war began, Iranian military publications openly described a phased confrontation strategy. Phase 1, absorb initial strikes without collapsing. Phase 2, use sustained layered attacks to degrade opponent air defense architecture, force THAAD and Patriot systems to expend interceptors, map response times, identify coverage gaps. Phase 3, strike high-value targets once defensive systems are sufficiently stressed. If the Haifa strike is verified, and that remains conditional, it represents Phase 3 activation, which means Iran believes Israeli air defenses are now penetrable at scale. Iran reportedly fired 600 ballistic missiles and executed thousands of drone sorties in the first week alone, some intercepted, some not. But every exchange provided Iranian missile commanders real-time interception rate data, system response curves, radar blind spots, interceptor magazine depletion rates. This is data you cannot simulate. You can only acquire it through live combat against the actual systems you intend to defeat. Iran essentially turned the first phase of this war into the world's most expensive intelligence collection operation, and Israel provided the data by defending itself. The K-bar Shikhan missile is solid-fueled. Solid fuel ignites faster than liquid propellant, shorter launch-to-flight time, less warning for defending systems. This isn't crude rocketry. This is weapons engineering specifically designed to challenge modern air defense networks through saturation tactics. Fire enough projectiles from enough vectors simultaneously, and some penetrate. That's not technology failure, that's physics. Here's what worries me most. Not missiles, not oil prices, the diplomatic vacuum. Iran's foreign minister stated on NBC that Iran has been drawn into negotiations with the United States twice before, and both times those negotiations were followed by aggression. His message was explicit. Iran wants permanent conflict termination with international guarantees, not ceasefires, not truces, binding agreements preventing future military action. That demand is diplomatically impossible. No American president can sign away future use of force options. No Israeli government can accept external defense doctrine constraints. Iran certainly knows this, which means the demand isn't a negotiating position, it's a signal. Iran is prepared for protracted conflict. They're not looking for exit ramps. They're looking for the finish line, and they believe time favors them. Meanwhile, 2 senior U.S. envoys reportedly canceled a planned Tel Aviv trip. Official explanations cited security concerns. But multiple sources indicate the cancellation reflected growing tension between Washington and Jerusalem over war trajectory. Israel apparently communicated that promised regime change hasn't materialized. Mojtaba Khamenei, son of the slain supreme leader, was named successor, and his first public act ordered continued strikes. The IRGC held together, government held together, population didn't turn against the regime as pre-war planning apparently assumed. Russia's Putin reportedly called Trump with a message that, stripped of diplomatic language, amounted to "this war is not going well for you," and continuing makes things worse. China continues supplying components through channels the U.S. cannot interdict without opening an entirely separate confrontation. Where does this leave us? I don't know how this ends. Nobody does. Anyone claiming certainty is selling confidence they don't possess. But here's what we can say. The Energy Infrastructure Exchange on March 7th changed this conflict's character fundamentally. It's no longer purely military operations. It's economic warfare with global consequences reaching every gas station, every shipping route, every portfolio, every grocery store where prices tie to transportation costs, tied to fuel prices, tied to what's happening in the Persian Gulf right now. The Doomsday plane being airborne doesn't mean nuclear war is imminent, but it means people whose job is planning for worst-case scenarios are actively planning for worst-case scenarios. That should be taken seriously. And the diplomatic vacuum, no talks, no off-ramp, no de-escalation framework, is the most dangerous element because wars without exit strategies don't end cleanly. They grind, they escalate, they produce consequences outlasting the conflict by decades. The pattern forming across the Gulf isn't random. It's doctrine meeting doctrine, system stress meeting system stress. And the systems designed to prevent catastrophic escalation are being tested in real time under conditions they were never meant to handle simultaneously. What concerns me most isn't what's happening now. It's what happens when both sides realize simultaneously that neither can achieve their stated objectives through the means currently being employed. That moment, when military reality collides with political necessity, is when wars make their most dangerous transitions. When conventional operations that aren't working give way to unconventional options that shouldn't be considered. The Doomsday plane doesn't fly for wars we're winning. It flies for wars where someone in the chain of command needs to start thinking about scenarios nobody wants to think about. I'm Kane Shimatsuka, and the fuse is burning shorter than anyone wants to admit.